It is Monday, April 14th, 2025. I'm meteorologist Dylan Robichaud. We are tracking yet again a threat of a few thunderstorms here across parts of the Ohio Valley and even into parts of West Virginia and Virginia going into Monday evening. That would be, of course, tonight. Let's get an update right now from the Storm Prediction Center. And here's a look at that outlook. And you can see that threat right there, mostly across parts of southern Ohio. But it's that slight risk right here. That is at level 2 out of 5 here. And again, level 5 being the highest. And you can see as we scroll down here just a little bit here, that level 2 out of 5 is what we call a slight risk of severe thunderstorms. So that would be a level 2. And then that does go up to level 5, which of course is at high risk. Now, let's go ahead and take a look here a little bit more in depth. And, a brief synopsis. Again, what is causing the risk of thunderstorms today? Well, it all has to do with, of course, the synoptic setup here heading into the afternoon. And really, what we're tracking here is the arrival of a cold front and the arrival of a warm front here. And so this right here, this is what we call the sweet spot. We call it the triple point, okay? So it's where you have the warm front that has just moved in, so you have warm, soupy air, and then you have cold air coming in, and as those air masses clash, that's where you get the risk of thunderstorms. We do have a couple limiting factors here. First of all, I don't really think that the risk of severe weather today is going to be all that high, especially when you consider everything else that we've been looking at over the last couple of weeks. But, more so than anything else, this is kind of what we're looking at as we head into the afternoon. And as we head into later on today, you can see that we have a couple areas of concern. We got one right here across southeast Ohio where we have a couple thunderstorms that will ignite. But here's the thing. It's going to mostly depend on, can we break out of these clouds and get some sunshine? Okay, that's a big if. And I'm not exactly 100% optimistic that will be the case. But nonetheless, as we head towards the afternoon, this is 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. Notice that we start seeing a more linear line of these showers heading into later on around 7, 8 o'clock. Now, as we head into late tonight, again, that threat will kind of escalate a little bit here across parts of Kentucky. But I really think it's going to be parts of Kentucky that have some of the best threat of some thunderstorms here. And here's why. So as we look at the dew point, okay, what is the dew point? It's a measure of how much moisture there is in the atmosphere. When you're looking at this, you're looking at, okay, how much energy do these storms have to play with? And here we go. As we head into today, look at parts of Kentucky, okay? In Kentucky, we're looking at dew points here in the lower end of the 60s. Meanwhile, in Ohio, we're only looking at dew points in the 50s and 40s, okay? So that tells me that the risk of stronger thunderstorms will be more pronounced in this area down here, where, of course, you have higher dew points around that 60-degree mark. So that's just kind of my 2 cents. Let's go ahead and look at some of the severe weather parameters here. And I need to go ahead and get my mouse. There we go. Okay, so let's look at severe weather. And you'll notice that as we look at the risk of tornadoes, so as we head into this evening, as we look at the risk of tornadoes, it is going to be where those dew points are higher. And the risk for tornadoes is pretty low. We're looking at about a 2 or 3. Okay, if you can see that, I know it's pretty small, but that's a 2, that's a 3. And look down here at the legend. This goes all the way up to a 10. So that's actually a pretty low-end threat. If we do see tornadoes, they're probably going to be very small, EF0, EF1 at the strongest, and they'll be short-lived. As we head into this evening, you'll notice that as we look at the severe weather index, again, parts of extreme southeast Ohio, I'm actually in Columbus. I'm not at all worried about the threat really here, but extreme southern Ohio down towards West Virginia, that's where that severe weather, where most of the severe weather parameters will be mostly higher heading into today. Now, as we look at the risk of lightning, and again, I do think that the risk of lightning will probably be a little bit more down towards Kentucky, West Virginia. But again, we're looking at a pretty good density of lightning strikes here across parts of West Virginia and Kentucky heading into tonight. Notice again, in Ohio, hardly anything. As we look at the rest of tonight, and let's go ahead and get rid of this one more time. You can see that once we get past 10 o'clock, the risk is pretty much gone. So we're looking at a window from about 4 p.m. to about 10 p.m. that we could be looking at some thunderstorms. Even though we're heading into the third week of April, and again, this is really where severe weather season gets underway, we're not really looking at any big severe weather threats anytime soon. So again, this evening, this little dip in the jet stream that we're looking at right here, again, you can see it right here with that trough axis. You have that positively tilted trough. That's going to be where we see that front. So right here is that cold front that we're looking at, and that's going to be forming later on tonight. That's going to be where we have that risk of thunderstorms. But as we go a little bit farther into the future, you'll notice that I'm not seeing anything long-term that screams severe weather. So let's go ahead and take a look at heading into Tuesday. By the way, it's about to get really cold. See these blues up here? That says cold weather. Okay, it's going to feel more like February than April if you live in upstate New York and northern New England. What we're looking at, though, is what we call phasing. You want to see the polar jet stream and that subtropical jet stream kind of phase together. We're not really seeing any phasing, though, as we head into the next 7 to 10 days. Again, you want to see how we have up to the north. We kind of have this right here would be associated with the polar jet stream. This right here would be associated with the subtropical jet stream. We really want to see these two features kind of merge and conglomerate. We want to see them work in tandem with one another. That's a terrible arrow, but we want to see these two kind of work in tandem with one another. But as we head into the next week, that doesn't happen. As we head into Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, they merge, but it's not very healthy. You want to see two big old balls of energy. These are going to be two weak systems that kind of merge as we head into Thursday and Friday. We do have a warm-up. 70s expected here across the Ohio Valley late this week. But that's pretty much all she wrote. What I'm really looking at is I want to see a deep trough here forming. I want to see some very strong troughs in the upper level jet stream forming, and I'm just not seeing that anytime soon. So that's kind of my spiel. I'm not looking at any major severe weather, maybe a couple strong thunderstorms today. That's pretty much it. I'll let you know if anything exciting happens anytime soon.